Ukraine's foreign ministry has urged the UN Security Council to convene an extraordinary meeting on Russia's plans to deploy its tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus. Ukraine expects Britain, China, the United States and France to take effective actions to counter the nuclear threat from the Kremlin, he said. To this end, we demand that the UN Security Council convene an extraordinary meeting, he continued. Earlier, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that, at the request of Belarus, Russia would deploy its tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus. Vladimir Putin said the move was prompted by Britain's decision to provide Ukraine with ammunition containing depleted uranium. Alexander Grigoryevich Lukashenko has long raised the question of Russia's deployment of tactical nuclear weapons on Belarusian territory, Vladimir Putin said on Saturday, quoted by Euronews. There is nothing strange here either. First, the United States has been doing this for decades. They have long ago stationed their tactical nuclear weapons on the territory of their European allies, the NATO countries, he continued. 10 ordnance-capable aircraft, designed for use on the battlefield, have reportedly been transferred to Belarus. NATO do the same. This action is similar to what the United States has been doing for a long time on the territory of its NATO allies. NATO officials reject the equation and say their policies are set. Russia's reference to NATO nuclear sharing is completely misleading, spokeswoman Ona Lungescu said on Twitter, quoted by the Wall Street Journal. NATO countries are acting in line with their international commitments, while Russia has consistently violated its arms control commitments, he continued. Russia has transferred to Belarus an Iskander system that can deploy nuclear weapons. According to Vladimir Putin, the construction of a tactical nuclear weapons depot in Belarus is expected to be completed by July 1, 2023. For information, NATO has placed around 100 U.S. nuclear warheads in 5 NATO countries, quoted from the NTI website. 6 U.S. nuclear weapons facilities in 5 NATO countries, namely Belgium, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands and Turkey. The B-61 and -4 gravity bombs are the ones deployed in Europe. In 1971, U.S. nuclear warheads in Europe peaked at around 7,300. Since then, more than 7,000 warheads have been removed. NATO alert: Vladimir Putin's decision is the first time since the mid-90s that Russia has positioned such weapons outside its own territory. NATO criticized Russia for its dangerous and irresponsible nuclear rhetoric, a day after Russian President Vladimir Putin said Russia would place tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus. NATO is on high alert, and we are monitoring the situation closely. We have not seen any change in Russia's nuclear posture that would lead us to adapt our own, a NATO spokesman said Sunday. Experts say Russia's move is significant because until now, unlike the United States, Russia has not deployed nuclear weapons outside its borders. Reply to UK uranium shipments to Ukraine: Russia to place nuclear weapons in Belarus. Russian President Vladimir Putin said last Saturday that Russian tactical nuclear weapons would likely arrive in Belarus as early as this summer. Russia is now completing construction of special storage facilities for such weapons, amid repeated calls by Belarus to deploy them on its territory, Putin said. Quoted from the Russia Today page, Monday, Putin explained that the site in Belarus will be ready on July 1st. Nevertheless, he emphasized that Russia has no plans to hand over control of any tactical nuclear weapons to Belarus and will only deploy its own weapons to the country. He also did not provide details regarding when exactly the weapons would be transported to the new location. The move was prompted by Britain's decision to provide depleted uranium ammunition to Ukraine, Putin explained. The UK announced earlier this March that it plans to send the shells to Ukraine for use in the Challenger 2 battle tank. Russia also denounced the move as a sign of absolute carelessness, irresponsibility and impunity on the part of Britain and the United States, US. But the US has dismissed Russia's concerns by calling the depleted uranium shells a regular type of munition that has been in use for decades. The Russian Ministry of Defense later warned that its use could trigger a radioactive disaster in Ukraine, given that such munitions have been used by NATO in Iraq. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko has repeatedly raised the issue of the threat posed to his nation by the nuclear weapons that the US has deployed against European Union (EU) countries. In October 2022, he pointed to nuclear sharing talks between the US and Poland, warning that nuclear weapons could be placed in Poland, which borders Belarus. Belarus needs to take appropriate steps to tackle this threat, Lukashenko said at the time. He added that he would discuss the matter with Russia. Currently, US nuclear weapons are deployed in Belgium, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands and Turkey. In 2021, Russia asked for the weapons to be returned as part of its security proposal, but the US and NATO rejected the request. Kiev, Ukraine strongly condemns plans by Russian President Vladimir Putin to deploy tactical nuclear weapons to Belarus. Kiev then called for the United Nations Security Council, UNSC, to hold an emergency session to discuss Putin's plan. As reported by Reuters on Monday, Putin announced his plans on Saturday local time, saying the move would not violate Russia's nuclear non-proliferation pledges. It was also stressed that Moscow would not hand over control of the nuclear weapons to Belarus. Ukraine's foreign ministry, in a statement, called Putin's plan another provocative step that undermines the entire international security system. Russia once again confirms its chronic inability to be a responsible custodian of nuclear weapons as a means of deterrence and deterrence of war, not as an instrument of threat and intimidation, the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry said in a statement. Ukraine calls on all members of the international community to convey to the criminal regime of Putin that the next nuclear provocation will be absolutely unacceptable. To take decisive steps to effectively deter and prevent any possible use of nuclear weapons by the aggressor state, the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry said in a statement. In a statement on Saturday, local time, Putin said it was Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko who had requested the weapons deployment. However, the Minsk authorities have yet to comment publicly on Putin's plans. Belarusian military forces have not officially fought in Ukraine, but Minsk authorities allowed Moscow to use its territory as a starting point for deploying troops to Ukraine last year. Russia and Belarus are known to have very close military relations. Previously, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, called Putin's plan to deploy tactical nuclear weapons to Belarus as dangerous and irresponsible. NATO is alert, and we are monitoring the situation closely. We haven't seen any change in Russia's posture that would lead us to adjust ourselves, NATO spokeswoman Ona Lungescu said in a statement to CNN.